Inside this video, you're going to see the exact process that can allow a non-US resident to use one single credit card to unlock something that sounds insane. Imagine a business that spends around $150,000 per year on normal operating expenses like advertising, software, logistics, suppliers, travel, and turns that spending into roughly 600,000 points. Those points can realistically translate into multiple business class flights, sometimes even close to 10 flights a year, depending on routes, availability, and how far in advance you book. Now, here's the key. The person isn't getting free flights out of thin air. They're simply recycling business spending through the right structure, the right steps, and the right banking setup. So instead of earning a weak 0.5% or 1% return, they're earning something that can feel like a 20% effective return in travel value. And yes, this can be done even if you are not a US resident and even if you do not want to waste time flying to the United States just to open accounts and play the game. I'm Matteo Maglia, Partnership Manager at GloboBanks, the banking introduction company for international accounts. And in this video, I walk you through a clean step-by-step roadmap you can follow to build access to the US credit system as a non-resident and then reach one of the most powerful business credit cards available for high spenders. Let's get straight into it. First, a quick clarification. This is not about hacking. This is about understanding how the US banking and credit ecosystem works and using it correctly with the right documentation, the right sequence, and the right risk management. So, step one, get an ITIN. The key that unlocks the system. The first step is obtaining an ITIN. An ITIN is a US tax identification number for non-US residents who need a US identifier for specific purposes. In practical terms, it's the first piece that can make you visible to the US financial infrastructure. Why does this matter? Because the US credit system is built around identification plus history. And your credit history, your credit score is heavily influenced by how you use credit cards, how consistently you pay, how much of your available credit you use, how many applications you make, and how long you've been active in the system. The ITIN is typically issued by the IRS, and in many cases, it can be requested remotely through the proper professional channels. A common time frame people experience is roughly 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the case and the process. Once you have the ITIN, you can move to step 2. That is, get a first starter personal credit card to create a track record. This is where most people make a mistake. They try to jump straight to a premium card, or they apply randomly, or they apply too aggressively. Instead, the smart approach is to start with a low-level personal card designed to build early credit. Typically, the starter cards may come with a credit limit somewhere around $500 to $2,000, depending on profile and approval. The goal at this stage is not rewards. The goal is to build a clean credit footprint. And the most important rule here is utilization. A simple guideline many experienced credit builders follow is: don't max the card. Keep utilization conservative and pay on time every time. So for example, if you have $2,000 limit, you might only use around $500 per month. Then repay it properly, never late, following a consistent pattern. This is how you start building a credit score that can unlock better products later. Step 3. Add a stronger card to scale credit and start earning meaningful points. After a short period of correct usage, often around 1 or 2 months, depending on the strategy, you generally want to add a second card. A stronger card can increase your available credit and help accelerate your credit profile, while also giving you better points earning. At this stage, some people may be able to access cards from major US issues that can offer higher credit limits, sometimes $5,000 depending on the profile, better earning rates, for example, cheaper points on certain spending categories, and more flexibility for business-style expenses, even if the card is technically personal. The rule is the same. Even if you have $6,000 of available credit, you don't want to behave like someone desperate for credit. A common disciplined approach is to keep spending at a manageable portion. Again, many people follow the don't overuse your limit discipline and pay in a controlled way. Now, here's where things get interesting, because up to this stage, many people can build momentum without even having a US bank account yet, depending on their structure and how the process is managed. And this is exactly why a lot of internet advice is misleading. You'll see people say, you must fly to the US, you must open multiple accounts in person, you must be physically there. That's not always true. In many situations, you can structure the process remotely, but only if you know how to approach it correctly and in the right order. Step number 4, open the right US bank account for the right purpose. Now, we get to the step that most people misunderstand. At some point, to reach top-tier accounts, especially with premium issuers, you typically need a US banking relationship that matches what you're trying to do. Not every bank works the same. Not every bank accepts the same residencies. Not every bank supports the same onboarding flow. And not every bank can provide the specific documentation you need for the next step. This is why you don't want to guess. The goal here is to open a US account that can support your strategy and, importantly, can provide the right bank reference in the right format when required. In many cases, this can still be done 100% remotely, depending on the profile, residency, and the institution. Sometimes it's a video call for KYC, sometimes it's a structured document exchange over email, and sometimes it's a more formal onboarding flow. The key point is the bank must fit the case. And yes, different residents can be routed to different solutions. A Portugal resident may qualify through a different path than a Spain resident. A UAE resident may qualify differently. A business owner with an international structure may need a different approach than a simple single entity setup. Step number 5. Use the bank relationship to qualify for a top-tier business card. Now, we reach the final step, the card that makes the numbers explode. The reason certain businesses cards are so powerful is not because they look cool. It's because some of them offer a very aggressive points multiplier on large annual spend. For example, there are business cards that gives you something like a high multiplier on the first $150,000 of annual spend, and that benefit can reset each year. So let's run a simple realistic illustration. If a business spends $150,000 per year and there's 600,000 points, those points can become early miles or travel credits depending on how they redeemed. Now, imagine a conservative redemption model. If a business class flights cost around 60,000 miles in a scenario where availability is good and booking is done far in advantage, then 600,000 miles in 60 miles is 10 flights. This might cost in terms anywhere from $3,000 from $4,000 depending on route, timing and airline. So that's a root value range of 10 flights per $3,000 is like $30,000–$40,000 in travel value. And in many cases, the only cash portion you still pay is airport taxes and fees, often a few $100s per ticket depending on airline and route. That's how you can see scenarios where a business spends money it was already going to spend and captures an outsized return in travel value. Now, important note, if your business spends less, say $50,000 per year, the logic still applies. Using the same simplified approach, 50K in spend at a strong multiplier can generate around 200,000 points, and 200,000 points can still mean multiple business class flights if used properly. Again, depending on redemption and timing. So this is not just for billion-dollar companies, it's for any serious business with stable recurring expenses. The real message: stop treating banking like it's basic. When that account gets restricted, frozen or closed, they suddenly realize they don't have real relationships, they don't have real options, they don't have a structure. This is exactly why at GloboBanks we work with entrepreneurs, high net worth and ultra high net worth clients who need robust banking relationships, international accounts options and solutions aligned with their profile and jurisdictions. And the reason we can help with processes like this is because we understand the banking layer behind it. Which steps must happen first, what documentation actually matters, and how to avoid the common mistakes that block people for months or permanently. If you want a free initial assessment, the link below lets our team review your case and tell you step by step where the correct route is based on your situation, your residency, your structure and your goals. And if you want more videos like these, where I share the kind of information most people never heard, subscribe to the channel because we publish new content every week about international banking, account access, and how to build a real global setup that doesn't collapse the first time a bank says no.